we're back for a chill time. Hi friends, it's Nikki, and today I am going to be doing something I did not think that I would be doing this year, but that's what changes are all about. I'm going to be putting together my Fall Into Fantasy Readathon TBR. Wow. I've mentioned before I'm not really a fantasy reader, but I wanted to try this out because I want to get into the genre more, so we're gonna give it a shot. The readathon runs from November 18th through the 25th. Yes. That is Thanksgiving week in America, and that's perfect for me because I'll have a couple days off and hopefully I will get some reading done and I will be maybe less stressed, hopefully a little bit less stressed. There are 8 challenges and you have to try to read at least 4 books, which is a lot for me because even though I can read up to 5 or 6 books a week given the time, because of the fact that it's all fantasy, I'm a little worried. I just want to fit in with everybody. I have a lot of books on this pile here, and I'm obviously not going to get to all of them, but I'm going to try to do as much as I can, at least 4. But because I have so many, they fit into so many of these categories. So I'm just going to list off the reading challenges first, and then I'll just show you the books and then kind of name the categories that they fit into. The challenges are a new fantasy, a sequel, a diverse fantasy, multiple POVs, an LGBTQ+ fantasy, been on your TBR for way too long, a new series, and booktube recommended. I have 8 books on this TBR. I don't know how I got to this point in my life. I think I'm just gonna work through this pile as they are and see what they fit into. So the first book that I have is Shadows on the Moon by Zoe Marriott. You wouldn't think it, but this has actually been on my TBR for ages. I bought this maybe 3 years ago and I still haven't picked it up because, I don't know, I was scared. So the thing is, Zoe Marriott wrote another series that I absolutely adored, the Name of the Blade trilogy. I think I mentioned it before in one of my videos, maybe my K-pop book tag. The Name of the Blade trilogy is a urban fantasy with Japanese mythology in it, and you already know Japanese is my minor and I love. This one is supposed to be like a Cinderella retelling, but Japanese inspired. And I had just finished reading Name of the Blade, but I had such a hangover from that series that I was too scared to pick it up, and so it's just been chilling for the longest time on the windowsill stupidly, so now the pages are a little bit yellow, which I don't know if you can see that well on camera, but it upsets me. I think I should finally get to this because it's gorgeous, and I suffered not having this book because I don't think they're in circulation at my libraries because it's published in the UK. Gosh, this will fit into so many. This will fit into been on my TBR for too long. A new series, technically. A diverse fantasy. It might even fit into multiple POVs. I don't know. Perhaps. Oh boy. This is so chunky. I might have to use the audiobook for this one. Wow, this book is like chunkier in paperback. I don't know what it is about paperbacks that make a book feel bigger, but the next book that I have on my TBR is Crooked Kingdom, finally! Of course, as we all know, it is the sequel to Six of Crows, which I read over the summer and... Summer? Was it autumn? No, it was over the summer that I read it, I think. No matter, because I loved it. I've really loved all of the characters, and I have been putting this one off because I don't know, it's just the size of... It's just paperback. No need to be intimidated, Nikki. The size of it, I guess, kind of scares me, and I really pushed through, not pushed through, but I got through Six of Crows easier because I was listening to the audiobook and I listened to and from school, and it was great. It was just so immersive for me that way, so I might do the same thing with Crooked Kingdom, but I also really love holding it. Hopefully I'll have time to sit down with this and read this. So this will fit into a sequel, a diverse fantasy, multiple POVs. I think that's it. Oh, stupid. LGBTQ+ fantasy. I could kind of put it under booktube recommended, but it's more Cindy recommended. But I counted the book for that specific challenge as something that I had gotten recommendations from solely from YouTube and booktube, because this one was recommended to me by some of my friends IRL. Oh, I'm so excited for these. Okay, so the next book that I have is Empress of All Seasons by Emiko Jean. I can't lie, I don't entirely know what happens in this book. I just know it's a Japanese fantasy, and that's kind of all I needed. Oh, there's yokai. Excuse me, hold on. As she struggled to keep her true identity hidden, Mari's fate collides with that of Taro, the prince who has no desire to inherit the imperial throne. I fucking love princes. And Akira, a half-human, half-yokai outcast. That's like all I needed. I feel like Nice. I feel like if it is Japanese inspired fantasy or just Japanese fantasy, I will be more inclined to pick it up because there's some degree of familiarity with it. I feel like, it's hard to get into fantasy that's not urban fantasy for me because I need something pulling me in, some thread of interest to pull me in, and I guess with these kinds of books you can easily do that by saying there's yokai in it, and I'll be like, I'm in. I also saw that this book was on a list of books that you can recommend to younger teens, like it's easier to get into, which hopefully means that I won't be too in over my head when I'm reading it. So this is going to fit into, I didn't even list this down, oh, because I got these a little bit late, but a new fantasy, diverse, new series. Is this going to be a series? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm so ready for this next one. But the next one that I have is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan, and look at this cover, look at it, just wow. I almost didn't pick this up or request it from the library. Reason being that I saw the cover floating around on Twitter and I was like, that is gorgeous, but it's fantasy, isn't it? And of course I was right, it is fantasy, and I was like, oh, I mean, it sounds cool, it looks really gorgeous, but I'm probably never going to read it because of who I am as a person. Then all I had to hear was, for one, there's a demon king. Just sign me the fuck up for demons, okay? Two, it's a female fantasy, and I'm like, that's all I needed, that's all I needed. Okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it out. Found the audiobook as well. Like, I have such good feelings about this book, you know? I'm not trying to let the cover lust push me in a certain direction and get myself too hyped up, but I just have a really, really great feeling about this. It might also be the female romance. I'm just, like, I'm always ready for that. Always. Always ready. And the author's gorgeous. Is this allowed? Obviously, this was my #1 pick for LGBTQ plus fantasy. As soon as I saw that challenge on it, I was like, Girls of Paper and Fire, this is my chance to read it finally. But of course, a diverse fantasy because it is East Asian inspired. Is it going to, if it's going to be a series, fantasies are usually series, right? Well, if it is, then I want to count it as new series. And new fantasy, of course. The next one that I have is Prophecy by Ellen Oh. I have a lot of East Asian inspired fantasies in this, I'm just realizing. Once again, I was swayed by the word demon. I know there's a demon slayer, I know this, but this is actually really cool because it is Korean inspired fantasy, and I don't think I've read anything like that so far, unless you count that one, no, 2 stories in the anthology, 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. Yeah, there were a couple in there, and one of them, if you've read it, the story with the video game, that was my favorite. I like, so emotional and beautiful. But yeah, that was the first time that I had read anything inspired by Korean mythology, and I think this is going to be dealing in that, so that would be really dope because I don't even know much Korean mythology. But I also remember hearing about this book because the author had been tweeting about it. This is an older book, 2013, it was published in 2013. But the overall thing had been, when it's not European based, the readers expect you to feed every bit of info for them. European based fantasies expect you to already know, if that makes any sense. So what I was trying to say is actually the opposite. Readers expect that the author is just going to give this info to you and you're going to know what it is, but you're used to that because you have been given European mythology your entire life, and that's what you're used to. So I found the original tweet, and it says, "My first novel, Prophecy, was ripped apart by Goodreads for telling over showing. But a YA novel set in ancient Korea with myths and culture foreign to Western audiences, show, don't tell, is not possible unless writing a companion encyclopedia." And I feel that fucking sucks. We should probably do something about that. And then I saw it pop up later on in a video. Like, I hadn't looked too much into what it was about, but then I saw it pop up in somebody else's video and they mentioned demons, and I was like, why didn't you say that before? I'm always down for demons. Let's go. This is going to be in my diverse fantasy, and I think that's all I have it listed for, because that's all I know so far. Here we go. My booktube recommended one. I cannot believe the day is here that I can say that I'm going to read this, but I have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Who am I? I think I found out about this solely through booktube because I don't remember hearing about it anywhere else, like not from my bookish friends, not from my former coworkers or anything like that, just through booktube and BookCon. My friend went with me to BookCon, Julissa, hi if you're watching, and she was like, oh, can you recommend me some fantasy? And I was like, shit girl, I don't know. Hopefully if you're watching this right now, you have some good recommendations, so Anyway, she saw The Cruel Prince and she was like, oh, what is this about? And the cover is really pretty, so I was like, oh, let me know. But she said it had to do with the Fae, and I was like, God, I immediately don't care. But I've heard so many things about the main relationship in this book, and I also heard that it's like half rooted in the real world, or like our world, so that gives me a little bit of hope. Also, Mayana's been reading it, or she finished reading it already, but watching her tweets was the most amusing thing on the planet, and it made me really want to pick it up. So here we are. I'm going to be trying it. It is my booktube recommended one, and I think, is that the only thing I have it for? That's it. I guess I could put it for like new series. Am I gonna fall for this? I mean, I haven't been on booktube for that long, but like based on my reading choices, or if you're one of my IRL friends watching this and you like super know the things that I scream about, can you let me know if you think I'm really going to enjoy this? Or any of these books, really? Just let me know what you think you see me really loving and obsessing over. Then, all my books fell. Then I have Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow, and I have been aching to get my hands on this for a while. A couple of videos ago, I was talking about how certain books have different ways of pitching it, and depending on how you pitch it, you can reel in one person, whereas pitching it a different way would push them away. And so Forest of a Thousand Lanterns is kind of one of those books for me, because I saw it floating around on Goodreads, and the description that it's provided with just screamed Kingdom Hearts to me. How many East Asian fantasies do I have on this? Like almost all of them. It's not written on the back of here, but all I saw was Eating Hearts somewhere on Goodreads, and I was like, excuse me? And like Battling Darkness, and that's just so, that is so Birth by Sleep to me. And then I remember seeing Monica from She Might Be Monica on Instagram talking about the sequel. I know she's super excited to read it. And she mentioned that it is a Evil Queen retelling from Snow White. And that immediately, like if I had heard that first, I would have been like, well, I don't want to read it. Like it just doesn't interest me that way. But you know, you say Eating Hearts and I'm like, sign me the fuck up. I'm ready. The paperback cover, gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. Look at that. That is so enchanting. I like it so much better than the hardcover. And I won't lie, that persuaded me to request it and try it out. Oh boy. Okay. All right. And the final book I have a pattern for this TBR, I guess, but I mentioned it already in my previous video. I'm like 20 pages in. It's Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. 37 pages in, my bad. It's just that like it's so, like the text, you know, it's like a little bit different from the text of other YA books, so it's taking me, I guess, a little bit longer. Either that or I'm just absorbing it really slowly because I've been in a slight reading slump, and then I put this aside so that I could read something else. But yeah, I'm working on this. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it during the readathon. For real, how many of these are... So I have 8 books on this TBR. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 8 books on this TBR are East Asian fantasy. That's dope. I didn't realize that I was getting so many at one time, but yeah, I'm down for this. Anyway, I can't wait to dive into all of these books. I'm super excited for this readathon. I'm ready to take on a new challenge, not just in reading 4 books in a week, but reading 4 books that are completely outside of my comfort zone. Let me know if you're reading any of the books that I mentioned, or if you have read any of the books that I mentioned. I'm sure like everybody's read The Cruel Prince by now, but that's fine. I don't know who's reading what right now. Like I'm trying to play catch up on Twitter, but school is really holding my head underwater right now, and the mental health is not helping, but that's what really comfy sweaters are for. If you are participating in the readathon, let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you want to read any of these. I think I'm missing a book. One last thing before I go. Obviously, I'm reading aaah. I mentioned that before, but I plan on reading that the week of Thanksgiving. I didn't put it on the official TBR because I don't know why. I guess I should. I guess that's 9 books that are on my TBR. aaah. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Sleepwalker, where do you go?